Bet y'all didn't expect this video, huh? Let's freaking get to it. I like Dowon. I'll say it. Dude, okay, I know everyone's gonna hate me for this. The community's gonna crucify me, but I need to speak my truth, okay? I need to speak my honest truth about the character of Dowon. If you don't know, let's get the obvious out of the way. Everybody hates Dowon. Like, literally everybody. Everywhere I go, every discussion I have, every Reddit post, every comment that has anything to do with Dowon, it is always hate. And to a certain extent, I get it, we'll talk about that, but I want to talk about why I think that Dowon's complicated nature is actually a good thing for the character. Even the haters of Dowon all admit that her design is sick, and the concept of two heroes turning on each other and not agreeing on everything, and the Hidden Grove, the concept of the Hidden Grove is amazing. Like, Dowon as a concept is really, really cool. No one's going to deny that. Her flower abilities, and again, her design most of all, everybody loves it. So this has nothing to do with any of that. What we are going to talk about is why people hate the character and why I think the hate is unjustified. Again, the hate is pretty mind-blowing. I'd say people consider Dowon to be like, in my opinion, Dowon is more hated than Rachel. That might sound like an exaggeration, but I actually don't think I'm kidding. The reason I say that is because Rachel has a lot of defenders, and pretty much everybody who hates Rachel says, I hate her because she's a good character. But the people who hate Dowon, they don't think she's a good character. So that's why I think she receives more hate. I think the hate is more genuine because it's not like a hate that you're supposed to have. It's almost like SIU wanted to make a good character, but in most people's eyes, she's not. In my opinion, there are three primary reasons why people hate Dowon. The first is that she turns against Bomb for no apparent good reason. The second is that she turns against Cha for no apparent good reason. There's not enough reasoning as to why she would have logically come to the conclusion of going against Bomb and going against Cha. Like, why would you go against Bomb when Bomb is trying to end the war? Bomb is obviously a good person. You can come up with the reasoning. I'm sure a lot of you have this sort of mentality of like, it doesn't make sense that she would turn against Bomb. The first one is the most easy to refute, right? I'm not going to entirely refute it, but I'm going to give my perspective on the opposite side. Obviously, she was sealed for a really long time, and we know why she was sealed: to protect her family and to save her nation, but also just end all war, period. She agreed that if she did this and Cha did this, they're done. Like, her nation is saved, they won't be destroyed, because literally she was being threatened to do this, and also no more war. What happens when she wakes up? Tons of war. Who's the reason for that? Bomb. Of course, right away when she wakes up all groggy and kind of emotional as to seeing all this chaos, of course she's gonna jump to a conclusion, right? Now, even then, it makes sense to me, but on top of that, the captain, or whoever this figure is, literally tells her, the boy who's going to do this, he tells her like this prophecy that pinpoints directly to the cause. And this was way long time ago, before she was sealed, and seeing this prophecy unfold, what else would you think, right? This guy predicted the future, and he also says this kid's going to ruin everything, right? It's almost like, if you, I don't want to bring up real life examples, but you can imagine a real life example that I would say for someone who's going to like destroy the world, right? And she doesn't know this person at all, she doesn't know his personality, but she's trusting in this prophecy because so far it seems to be true. Fighting is back, war is back, and she's been unsealed again, just like that person predicted. It's all fitting together and saying, hey, that boy needs to go. We'll talk more about that as well, but let's talk about Cha for a minute here, because Cha and Dowon were very close, right? They were two co-leaders of the Hidden Grove. They almost had a romantic relationship. Like, obviously, they were probably the closest within the Hidden Grove team. So it's like, okay, why would she turn against Cha, this person who's been her best friend her whole life? I think the relationship is being blown up out of proportion, right? I think people are claiming that they're closer than they actually are. Like, they are quite close, I'm not going to deny that, but at the same time, people are acting like it's treason that she would ever turn against Cha. But it's like, okay, well, in her mind, Cha is turning against her, you know? Like, why would she completely abandon everything just to trust Cha, especially when the whole reason they're in this mess is because the Hidden Grove was betrayed by a member of their own team, right? Like, in my eyes, it would be strange if she was like, okay, everything is lining up this way, but Cha is going this way, so I'm not even gonna, right? Like, okay, you could argue they could have talked or whatever. I'm not gonna get into that, right? I'm just talking about if she had to make a choice, it still doesn't, it's not enough for me to completely trust Cha, right? Because why doesn't Cha completely trust her in that case? It's a mutual thing, right? And they just end up on different sides. She's not trying to kill him either. She's just saying, get out of the way, I need to kill that boy. You know what I mean? And eventually she does come to trust him. She does come to listen to Cha. So in my eyes, it's like she's been sealed for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. She's overwhelmed by all of this upon waking up. But the biggest thing of all, the biggest reason why turning against Bam and turning against Cha makes sense to me is Kane's memories. We have to remember that the Dowon who wakes up is not the Dowon who was sealed, because Kane wakes up Dowon by sacrificing her memories to her, at least some of her memories, and so Dowon knows things when she walks out of there, particularly Calavan. That's gonna be my next topic, but the last thing I'll say on the Bam and Cha thing is that she also has 2 teammates who are locked up and also sealed. And they're being threatened as well. Like, if she doesn't work with Jihad and Calavan, their lives are also in jeopardy, right? So even without that, I'd still believe it, but you also have to remember that people that she cares about are also being threatened. There's also a lot more going on here. I mean, the city that she sacrificed herself to protect, and the nation and the wall and these people, they're treating her sister as if she was a horrible traitor, and they're like abusing her, and the statue doesn't mean anything, and like her sacrifice ultimately means nothing. But we'll talk about that. Because the main and primary reason why people hate Dowon, this is undisputed in my opinion, but let me know if you disagree, is her flip-floppy nature. This is like the #1 thing I hear from people. Dowon is super flip-floppy, and it doesn't make sense why she would go from this to this and this and switching sides constantly, which is, I think, a fair opinion to have. But let's talk about it. When put into perspective, I don't see this flip-floppy nature as just constantly changing her mind, right? Because the main key component here is what Dowon desires. Dowon as a character, above all, wants to end war, wants to end fighting. Her and Kane's father was like a primary member of the Dowa, I think I'm pronouncing that right, the Dowa nation, a primary fighter who was killed fighting. She was stepping up to replace him alongside Kane. They both trained for that position so that they could not let that happen again. Protect her people, protect everybody that they could in the tower. And what does she remember from Kane's memories? Calavan. Calavan shines in this arc, in my opinion, in the wall, because he's not just punching things and exploding things, he actually shares from personal experience to Kane, which is one of the reasons why I think Kane trusts him. He is someone who has a very similar sort of idea to Dowon and probably Kane. He doesn't want fighting either. He joins Jihad and takes the essence of bravery from the statue and everything so that he can end it all. He wants to end fighting as well, but he thinks the primary way to do it is to work with Jihad, who is unbeatable anyway, right? And let's be honest, he is, unless you know about Bam and everything, who knows? But he is unbeatable. Jihad is the king of everything. And you can't go against that. And I think Dowon learns that because the Hidden Grove is eviscerated by Jihad. So when Calavan is talking to Kane and Dowon receives those memories, she aligns with Calavan. I think it actually makes total sense. Calavan is talking truthfully to Kane. He's not manipulating her, in my opinion. He's speaking from experience because he actually believes the exact same thing. It's only when Kunhind Luck dies that Dowon finally learns that I shouldn't be with these people. I shouldn't side with the people who are responsible for all of this. I'll listen to Cha. I'll side with this boy, despite the prophecy, despite everything I believe, right? Even if it extends the fighting, maybe I should fight for the good cause instead, right? It's a truly good flip-flop, in my opinion. It only happens once. She only changes her mind once, right? She was sealed to protect her people and end war. She wakes up. That didn't happen, so she says, all right, I'm done. I'm sick of it, right? I want to end it all. She changes her mind once by then joining Bam and Cha. People are acting like she flip-flopped when she joined Calavan, but that's not even true. Like, that has always aligned with her goal, if you actually think about it from Dowon's perspective. This is the big thing for me, and I'll end the video by saying this. The big reason and sort of the primary factor and the way that I see Dowon as a character is, again, she sealed herself, but when she wakes up, she realizes that everything was wasted. Everything was for nothing. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Dowon and Cha, Dowon's father was around during like the Great War when Jihad became king. She was sealed for a long time. She wakes up and that sealment was for nothing, because not only has the war continued, but the people she was trying to protect are abusing Kane, right? The statue of the Forget-Me-Not means nothing. Her sacrifice and all of her good work, I mean, the world is worse off than when she was sealed, right? To me, combine that with everything else I've talked about and her emotional and mental state at the time, it to me leads to a very reasonable conclusion. And so Dowon's conclusion is, this is a hard decision, right? This is a decision that maybe isn't the morally right choice, but I'm still going to make it for the greater good. We can't beat Jihad, but maybe I can do good working with Jihad and working with Calavan, who understands me, right? And I understand him to a certain extent. She wants to give, like she's always given her entire life, for the greater good. And overall, even if you disagree, Dowon is a flawed character. But doesn't a flawed character ultimately make for a better character? Wouldn't you rather have a flawed Dowon, rather than a Dowon who comes out of the seal and says, I'm siding with you, Bomb and Cha, haha, let's go, you know, like how boring would that have been? SIU actually made Dowon multifaceted and complicated when the prophecy is involved and like her backstory and her sister and the memories. It all leads to her making a bad choice. But she remedies it. She ends up regretting it and apologizing and switching back. So like, to me, the hate is unjustified because I love flawed characters like Dowon when the flaws make sense. And in my opinion, the flaw here makes total sense. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm sure I missed a couple details about her backstory. I didn't reread the whole comic, so maybe I'm also misremembering some things, but I did my best. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on Dowon as a character. And yeah, let me know what other videos you want to see here on the channel. Appreciate you watching. Subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Take care.
If you want to get to the top, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. This is Rachel. Better do it or I'll push you and you'll die.